Plastic bars tryna copy my steel. Copy my steel. Face the fact that ain't no cap, I'm real. Ain't no cap, I'm real. The plastic bars tryna copy my steel.
From the ESPN studios in Bakersfield, California, it's the Early Bird Special, bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Early Bird Special. I am Chris Burdick, and we're here in the studios of 1230 AM, 101.1 FM, ESPN Radio in Bakersfield, also streaming live at BakersfieldESPN.com. It is a very special day because the Acclaimed is here. Or at least one-third of them is here. One-time AEW World Tag Champion and one-time AEW Trios Champion, Anthony Bowens is here. What's going on, man?
How are you?
I'm doing well. So, you guys are obviously here for Bakersfield. We are.
Yes.
Full disclosure, this is a pre-recorded interview. This is what we played on Sunday, but the show is on Wednesday at the Mechanics Bank Arena. I was looking through the entire cast, or at least what you guys have released so far. Unfortunately, you guys aren't on the list, but I'm sure we will see you at some point, right?
You never know where the Acclaim will show up. Never know.
But I mean, it's just, we wanted to get you in here. Obviously, you were doing the media stuff for us here at American General Media. We really appreciate that as well, by the way.
Absolutely.
Hope you had a good time. I know you were with two of our weirder ones this morning. You had to deal with Scott and Romeo, so that must have been fun.
No, they were fun.
Yeah?
They were fun dudes. I had a good time.
I'm telling you, we got to get the Rizzler thing going. It's going to work. It's going to work. Well, let me talk. We want to get a little bit about you as well as the show for this week, but let's start with you and the Acclaimed. Obviously, you guys came in 2020 and have taken over, in my opinion, it's probably the best tag team AEW has right now. I mean, you guys have more pull than anybody I think I've seen of at least pulling the crowd in. You guys even started as a heel and really made that transition into faces organically. But I know you have talked about this on multiple interviews, and I'm sure this is a story, or this is a question you hear all the damn time. But what is it that makes you guys so authentic and just pulls people in?
Best tag team alive. I think Max Caster and I, it's been our chemistry and our work ethic.
Yeah.
And I think it just is authentically being ourselves. I think people appreciate people who aren't fake, the people who are real. And we always bring that authenticity every time we're on the screen and every time we're interacting with people or we're doing meet and greets. There's nothing fake about us. What you see is us. And Max and I are two very different people.
Absolutely.
But they always say opposites attract. Like, we've always had great chemistry since we first started, and we figured it out, and we really put our heads together of how we can create something special. And then you add a legend like Billy Gunn to the mix, right, and it was just the recipe for success. Now,
okay, I know you've talked about this as well, but Max's big thing, I know you love to get in on this as well, is the diss tracks you guys love to come out with.
Yes.
How do you guys come up with so much? That's so awesome.
So the creative process has kind of evolved over the years. So in the beginning, it was very collaborative. Basically, a lot of it is Caster, because he's the musical genius. He's done that for years. At most, what I will do is I will go through the current events of the week, of what happened over the weekend, in any form of entertainment, but it doesn't matter what it is. For us, we don't live in a bubble. If it is news, we will touch upon it.
Nice.
Even if it's a little touchy.
Are we going to get like a little BBL Drizzy thing at some point?
You never know. But I will deliver that to him. He will go deliberate, and I won't see him for a few hours. He'll figure out what he wants to say, and then we go out there. And for the most part, I'll hear it while I'm out there, because I want my reactions to be as authentic as possible.
And you guys don't let anybody know about that, right?
No, we will not let anybody know. We don't want our opponents to know. We want them rattled.
Have you guys caught a lot of flack for that sometimes, though? Like from people in the roster?
Maybe, but maybe. But most of the time, people are, they understand what we're doing. That's what we do. That's who we are. If you're wrestling us, you're probably going to get ripped to shreds, and you just have to accept it. And the way you what do you call it? You just got to fight back in the ring. That's what makes it so entertaining. We're going to talk our shit, and now we're going to fight.
Right.
And see who the better man is.
And you guys, you've already brought him up, but Billy Gunn, huge legend in the industry, 60 years old, and he's still doing it.
Yes.
And I know you guys are now kind of an adopted sons of his, but what have you guys kind of learned from him in your time together?
We've learned a lot. I'm not going to go into the school of Billy Gunn and give away all the secrets, because we don't want anybody taking our success or recipes for success. But being under Billy's umbrella has been fantastic because he's taught us a lot. But also at the same time, it's cool because he's very collaborative and he allows us to have dialogue and conversation where there's people that just go, hey, you do this, this, and this, and that's it.
Right.
But Billy will go, hey, let's do this and this. And I'll go, well, devil's advocate, what happens if this happens? He goes, oh, well,
Right.
let's just try it and see what happens. Because, we're all learning things as we go, but 99% of the time he's right. I'm like, all right, you're right.
Well, he's been in the industry for so long, and
Yeah.
you would assume at some point. But I mean, okay, let's transition a little bit to AEW and your guys' roster because it is stacked with absolute just talent across the board. I mean, legends alone. Jeff Hardy's still on the roster. Chris Jericho. We talked about Billy Gunn. And even the young guys, yourself, Max Caster, MJF, if he ever comes back. You got guys that are just pulling people in, not to mention the new signings with Will Ospreay. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that you're really looking forward to getting in the ring with that you haven't yet?
Ospreay, Kenny Omega. I would love to get a round 2 with Bryan Danielson before he leaves because I wrestled him. He was my first singles match on live television that I had in All Elite Wrestling, and it went very well. I think the match only ended up going like 9 minutes or so, but I think with how much I've grown over the last couple years and with the fan support, I think now it'll be a much better clash, and
Right.
I feel like we can really give the people something special.
And do you look back on your old matches or anything like that to kind of like take reference of what you are now?
Yes and no. Like if it pops up, like I was on Daily Motion the other day and I saw I guess it was like a For You video and it was us and I was like, huh. And it was our first match that we had on television against Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. I hadn't seen that match since we had it, so I watched that the other day and I was like, oh my god, this is such a different version of us.
Right.
But the older Acclaimed stuff I tend not to look at because
Well, you guys have kind of transitioned past that as well.
Yes, I like looking at the more polished form of us. I've always say I will not watch our first entrance in AEW. It is so bad and so cringy. It makes my skin crawl to even think about it. I won't ever watch it.
Trust me, I agree with you. I can't listen to a lot of my old stuff. It's just so cringy. I can't get over it. But moving on to the show for Wednesday, obviously we've name dropped a lot of the men side, but let's name drop some of the women. Obviously, you guys got Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Tori, all those.
Toni Storm.
Tori Storm, absolutely killing it right now.
Mariah May.
Absolutely. Now I know you guys are kind of doing your thing as a trio, but is there any talk of potentially maybe throwing a female into the mix in the Acclaimed?
There was talk of that early on. I think maybe our second year of existence as the Acclaimed, but it never came to fruition.
Really?
I think.
Can you name drop who that was, or?
I don't actually remember who it was going to be. I think it was somebody that we were going to give an opportunity to who hasn't been signed.
Gotcha.
It might have been a good fit, but we ended up just sticking with Max and I, and then eventually Billy came in anyway. But I don't know. That's an interesting question. We haven't approached that subject in a while, so maybe that's something I'll bring up in our next team meeting.
Nice. Now, going into the trio side of this, because that's something that you guys do a lot more than other companies do, like WWE and stuff like this. And you guys even have obviously the now the ROH trios titles as well as your own AEW titles. And obviously you guys being just out of you just had them not too long ago, and they were stricken away from you by Billy's own sons. So I got to ask you.
Yes.
What is that like? What's dealing with, obviously, the two, for lack of a better term, dickheads of Billy Gunn's kids?
The ass boys. So it's sad because we were such good friends. And that's the reason why this all came together in the first place, was we had a great chemistry together. We were getting along, hanging out with Billy and them, throughout the day and such. And I'm like, why don't we do something together on the show? And we did, and we started to develop a friendship. We developed a relationship, and obviously Billy started to see their true colors and favored us more, and they couldn't handle their jealousy and ruined everything. And we decided to give it one more chance. We had a common enemy together, and we thought, hey, they're Billy's kids. There are technically our stepbrothers
In that way, yeah.
let's give them another chance, and they blew it again. So I feel like this is something that will go on forever.
Yeah.
They're going to be a thorn in our side forever, and we're just going to have to keep beating them up, and hopefully they
Rip
won't.
those titles back off of them.
Yeah, hopefully them will be. They took the tag titles from us. They took the trios titles from us. They seem to take everything from us.
What they can't take from you is that you and Max are the top winning team, right? Tag team
Yes, the
in
Acclaimed
AEW?
have the most tag team wins out of anybody on the roster. That means more than FTR. That means more than the Young Bucks. That means more than some of the best tag teams that have ever lived. So that makes us the best tag team alive.
Now, okay, going outside of AEW a little bit here, is there anybody that you and Max have kind of looked at from competitors saying, oh, we could take those guys out?
Everyone. Max and I have talked about we'd love to go to do some stuff in Japan and New Japan and see how we fare over there as well, and kind of take the Acclaimed global. But we take on anybody. You know, we want to fight everyone. We're the best.
I'm sorry not to cut you off,
No,
but
go
I think
ahead.
that's one of the coolest things about AEW as well, is that you guys have that ability to go overseas. I mean, Moxley just did and took a world title over there, and now that's on AEW with you guys for a little bit. But as a fan, as well as someone who covers you guys a little bit, I kind of think it's a good thing that you guys are growing to the size that you are, because all it's going to do is propel professional wrestling as a whole. I mean, in the work that you guys do on AEW, in New Japan, ROH, all of it is just propelling the whole industry as a whole. And what I also love is that it seems all of you guys at AEW have a genuine love for it just as much as fans do, and a genuine belief that you are the best wrestling on television. And to be honest with you, I'd have to agree with you in a lot of points. I think you guys put up a fight against anybody, but that's from me as a fan standpoint. But from you as somebody who works there and has worked there for now 4 years, what makes AEW so special?
I mean, we're the alternative. And we are professional wrestling. You know, that is our product. We have the most elite roster in the world. The best wrestlers in the world perform here weekly, and as a fan you get to turn on the television and see that every single week. And then, you know, we have a diverse roster. There's something for everybody. There's all different kinds of styles, whether you just like technical wrestling, whether you like comedy, if you like lucha libre, if you like hardcore, like there's every genre. Not genre. We have every form of professional wrestling.
Every style.
On our show. And I think that makes us very, very, very unique. And our performers can perform anywhere, which I love too. That's just what we're talking about before. You might see our top stars show up in New Japan. You might see you might go to a local independent wrestling show, and all of a sudden the AEW champion shows up to make an appearance. Like, I love that we have that freedom. I love that we can help elevate other places and give fans a very unique experience that they seem to be, I guess, sheltered from if you work other places.
Right. Now, okay, I have a couple more questions for you, but most of these are more about you, because we want to get a little bit more about who Anthony is.
Sure.
So, I have done a little bit of a deep dive, and I got a couple fan questions for you as well. I hope that's okay.
Bring them.
So the first one that I have personally, you are an openly gay wrestler. Respect the hell out of that. And I have seen recently that you credit your boyfriend, who is a YouTuber, as the reason why you have fully come out and stuff like that. Can you speak to that and like what he has done to kind of like impact your life?
Well, he was... the relationship was more the catalyst, but it was more of like an overall type thing, because I met him in 2016. We dated secretly for 6 months, and I thank him for doing that, because I just was not ready yet to come out. But it got to a point where I was, well, I guess to rewind, he's always wanted to be like a YouTuber and act and stuff like that. And he wanted to create a YouTube video, with me in it, and I begrudgingly said yes, but that video ended up sparking everything that I needed to help me realize that I just needed to be myself. My family supported me, my friends supported me. After the wrestlers saw that video, they supported me. I had this great relationship, and I'm like, I'm in this position where I can help other people who are going through the same struggles that I was going through. And at that point, I was just like, I need to just say something. And I was just tired of living a double life. I was tired of having that burden on me. And I just said enough. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell my family. I wanted the decision to be mine and no one else's. And but yeah, he was definitely a big catalyst in helping that occur. Like there wasn't any pressure. He never asked me to, which I appreciated. But it was just me coming to the realization of I can do so much more. I could be myself, and I can help other people in the process.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that he wanted to be an actor a little bit. Do you still dabble a little bit in acting? I know you've said you've taken a couple auditions in the past, but has there been anything that's kind of caught for yourself?
I've done mainly commercials. I've done about 7 commercials, national and international. We just recently moved out to Los Angeles, so I'm trying to establish a resume in the TV film world for after pro wrestling. I just got finished putting a team around me that gets me and supports me from an agent and manager perspective, so I'm ready to hit the ground running. I have a couple interesting opportunities coming up. I don't like speaking about them saying that because I don't want to jinx anything.
I am the same way.
I don't like talking about it until it's happened. But there are always interesting opportunities that pop up. Nothing has been finalized yet, but there is stuff in the works.
Okay, fantastic. And,
that I hope works out.
I did a little dive on your Instagram as well, and one of these actually led to a fan question that I have to give you. But you are a Star Wars nerd, I see, just as I. A little bit, not so much.
Not too much. Oh, you're referring to the one with the lightsabers?
Yes.
So my best friend is a huge Star Wars.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But I thought that was a very cool photo of us.
Absolutely.
And a depiction of my friend group. I love them, and I miss them so much. They're all back in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. So is there more, because this is part of the fan question. Obviously, Star Wars being the one that we propelled off of here, but is there any franchise that you would just want to be in as an actor?
Many.
And I mean, TV, movies, doesn't matter what.
Honestly, a lot of the Marvel movies, no one specific, but there's no LGBT superhero out there, and I would love to be that.
That would be amazing
for Hollywood, or maybe there is. I'm not sure, but a wildly successful one. But my favorite video game franchise, I have 2 favorite video game franchises: Grand Theft Auto and Last of Us. And Last of Us was just obviously depicted. With their
season
first
3
season
will most likely be coming eventually.
Yes, so I would love to be in that. I'd probably cry.
That would be awesome to see you in that, though.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And then another side of your life that people know and you kind of dabbled in, especially this morning, is you used to play baseball.
Yes.
So you were an outfielder and stuff like that. But when did you kind of want to make that transition from baseball to wrestling? And how was that transition eventually? Because obviously baseball is a different kind of hurt on your body than professional wrestling is.
Yes. And I guess funny enough, so I played baseball from Little League through college. I played Division I at Seton Hall for 2 years, and then I transferred over to Montclair State University, which is a top Division III school in the country.
Was there a reason for that transition, or?
Yeah, the outside of the head coach, who I love, so shout out to Coach Shepard. The staff underneath him was. The person that recruited me to bring me in my freshman year had left, and they brought in a whole new staff, and it was not gelling. There was, I think, 12 people that transferred out that year, and I think they took the hint and then got rid of all of those. They brought in a whole new crew under Coach Shepard, and they won the Big East championship after I left.
Oh God!
Which was I was happy for them, but also very upset.
Could have had a ring.
Yeah, I could have had that ring that I've always wanted. But that's why I ended up transferring to Montclair State, and also it was a little bit less of a burden on my parents financially.
That makes sense.
Seton Hall's a private school, and it was very expensive.
Yeah.
But I played at Montclair for 2 years, and I was just kind of falling out of love with the game because that coach there, who I have no problem talking shit about, was out of his mind. He was insane. He killed the love of the game for a lot of people, and I was playing through very bad pain in my elbow with tendonitis, and I was like, enough of this. And then I was so used to being on the field for 5-6 hours a day, and then all of a sudden there's this gap in my afternoon where I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. And that's where the idea of maybe I should be a pro wrestler, or at least think of the idea to start pursuing it. And eventually I met Santino Morella at the gym. He gave me the number to Pat Buck, who's the owner and creator of Creative Pro Wrestling Academy in New Jersey. Pat's also a producer at All Elite Wrestling now, which is really cool. My trainer is like producing my matches on television. And after Santino gave me his number, I called Pat and then started training the next week. And 12 years later, here I am with you.
So I assume having him there as a producer too helps with the chemistry with the back room as well, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure. It's just it provides a sense of comfort of knowing you have someone that you're, that is a part of your journey and a part of your career, working with you and looking out for you. And he's a good dude and an incredibly talented mind for the business.
So it was with you following baseball, obviously, for so long, was the original plan to play in the MLB? Was that what your dream was?
And I truly believe I would have played professional ball. I don't know if I would have been an MLB All-Star or anything like that.
But
you never know. I would have at least played pro ball and see how far I could have taken it.
Wow. Shohei Ohtani obviously makes it look easy for everybody. And then last couple questions for you. One more from a fan. What's it like to have your own action figure? And what was your first feeling when they first showed you your first action figure?
I cried. I was a huge action figure, I guess I wouldn't even say a collector. I was the Brian Myers, Matt Cardona, like figure fed type wrestling fan collector. So I had my own shows. I had my own schedule. I'm like 7 years old. I had a planner. He planned out all my shows for the year, storylines, all that. And I had a Rocky Maivia, the bone crunching figure, Superstar Series 5 or whatever it was, that I used to pretend was me. And I always had that on my desk, hoping that one day that, something like this would happen. And
visualize it, man.
I visualized it, and actually a couple weeks ago I went to a Target here in California and walked in and saw it on the shelves for the first time, and I was like, this is insane.
Right.
It's so cool. So we have 2 figures. We have a 3-pack with Billy Gunn, who Billy was also one of my figure fed champions, his signature Series 2 figure. And now, I'm in a 3-pack with him. I'm a champion with him. It's insane. It's hard to process a lot of these things. I think I was saying it earlier in one of these other interviews. It was just everything happens so quickly. It's on to the next thing. All right, we got the figure. What's the next thing? All right, we got a great match. Well, what's the next show? It's very hard to let everything kind of sink in. Because even, we won the AEW, the trios titles at Wembley. There was over 80,000 people there.
Right.
It's absolutely insane. But the next thing I'm thinking of is, I got to catch my plane to go back across the country to go to Chicago, because then we've got Dynamite and then All Out, which is the next pay-per-view, the next weekend. So you can't even have the time to Which is
crazy when you think about it. You guys had 2 in back-to-back weeks. And I mean, you guys are the hardest workers in sports. That is well known. Wrestlers take the cake by far, in my opinion. But the amount of work you guys have to put into not only your bodies, but the travel time and stuff like that. I assume, do you and Max travel together?
He's based in New York, so we end up
not anymore. Obviously,
we'll end up meeting each other in the city. But I think I had somewhere along the lines of almost 200 flights last year. Probably be something similar this year.
I know you guys are based out of Jacksonville. Do you guys have to go there often or no?
Well, we tour to different cities every single week.
Right.
Every so often we'll go back to Jackson. I think we were just in Jacksonville last month, which is always like the homecoming, because we spent over a year there during the pandemic doing our tapings every other week.
Right.
So that's kind of like our home base. And plus, obviously, Tony owns the Jaguars, and that's his home spot.
Speaking of which, talk about working for Tony Khan. How does that?
It's great.
Yeah.
Tony as a boss he cares. He cares about his performers, which you
can completely tell. I mean, he was talking up, obviously, AEW during the draft and all that type of stuff, and it really drew a lot of people's attention on socials. So
yeah, I enjoy having somebody that cares, and if you get hurt, he checks in on you, and you might have something going on with your family. It's not like, hey, you have to, no matter what, like someone in your life might have passed away, you can't go see them, you have to work. Tony's like, no, you go and you be with your family, we'll figure out what we need to do to make it work for the television product. And it's nice to know that somebody like that has your back. That's your boss.
And I got one more question for you. It's the last fan question. Now, everybody who watches wrestling knows the best tag teams, you either stay together forever or eventually you guys break up and there's a feud. I'm not trying to throw anything against the wall or anything and try to, get you guys to feud against each other. But is there any kind of thought of a solo run for either of you in your minds? And if so, would you actually want to have a feud with Max?
We have been asked this a lot lately. Max and I have a ton of aspirations still as a tag team. We want to win the tag team titles again. We were screwed out of it by the Ass Boys, by Billy's son. So we feel like we have a whole other run with us with everybody. You know, we have unfinished business with the Young Bucks, who are taking over this company, unfortunately.
I'd love to see you guys go against the House of Black again, too.
House of Black, great. FTR, we beat them, but I'm sure they want to try and get that win back. So we would love to wrestle them again. There's so many people that we would love to get in the ring with. We want those titles back. But it's also well known that we both have singles aspirations. You know, we both want to be world champion one day. We both want to win the TNT title. So we both have similar aspirations. We're not in a rush to get to anything. We have so much unfinished business together. We're too good to, you know, just to throw that all away just for selfish reasons. You know
I would hate to see you guys break up anytime soon. I just have to ask the question because, you see what's happening in every other company and all that type of stuff. And obviously, it's something that happens in the industry as a whole. Plus, you guys do great as solo as well. So it wouldn't be something out of the ordinary.
It would be hard because he's become one of my best friends. And the thought of having to super kick him in the face it kind of hurts me.
Would you go back, and I know this is a long time ago, this is when you first started, but would you go back to the 5-tool player kind of thing? Or
I don't know, that's a good question. Like
for those who don't understand, Anthony at one point used his baseball background as well, calling himself the 5-tool player.
Yes, the 5-tool player, the perfect combination of power, athleticism, intelligence, the look, and the it factor, baby. 5 tools, 1 rule. Prove them wrong.
And you know what? You fit every bit of that. So it's just one thought, but would you possibly consider going back to that kind of a thought process as well?
Well, I own it. I trademarked it. I trademarked that, and I trademarked the Scissor King. There's a couple other things I'm going to get trademarked, so I own it. But I haven't really thought about it.
Obviously, because you have aspirations.
Because we're still with the tag team. But that definitely is something I can probably bring back up again. I probably wouldn't make it my main thing, but...
No. I mean, who you are now is the organic thing. I think that obviously all of your fans and stuff are pulling into, including myself. Love everything about what you and Max do, and Billy Gunn. Love the Scissor Me Daddy stuff. That's fantastic. And I know, last question from myself, and we'll let you get out of here. But I know you've mentioned this before.
Well, I haven't been called yet, so you can probably keep going.
When that was actually started, obviously was completely not by design from you. What were your first reactions, though? Because you had to be thinking, oh, crap, we're going to get in trouble for this.
Well, I was hurt at the time. That's when I tore my MCL and partially my meniscus. So I had been in the wheelchair for a while. And in all honesty, this was probably 5 minutes before we went on live television. I was sitting in the wheelchair by myself. I was like, can someone come wheel me somewhere? Waiting for Billy to come get me. And I was just... giggling to myself because I thought of calling him Daddy Ass. And then I was trying to figure out a way to end the entrance because Max would rap. I would yell the city and, the Acclaimed have arrived, and then I'd get the crowd to start chanting Ass Boys, but then everything would just abruptly stop. So I wanted an exclamation point at the end of the entrance. And I was just giggling to myself going, maybe I'll just yell Scissor Me Daddy Ass or something. And Billy came over and I was like, I think I'm going to call you Daddy Ass. And he just gave me a grin and just like nodded. So I was like, okay. And I didn't tell anybody. I went out there, did our entrance.
Right.
And I remember I just went, Scissor Me Daddy Ass. He did it. I came back, looked around. No one said anything. And then I noticed it was trending and there were signs the next week. And I was like, all right, we're off and running.
Well, if there's something you guys do with the Acclaimed, is you trend every single time you go on television. And I love every second of it. Well, Anthony, dude, thank you so much for your time. I just want you to know this is our first actual interview with a wrestler. Our very first one. So thank you. We appreciate that very much.
I am honored.
Hopefully it's not the last. We hope to have yourself and many, many others on the show as well. But we really appreciate your time, brother. And again, the show is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 22nd at the Mechanics Bank Arena.
Yes. Tickets are still, not to cut you off, tickets are still available. AEWTix.com. That's AEWTix.com. And actually, after Vegas, the pay-per-view Double or Nothing, we will be in Los Angeles at the Kia Forum next week, next Wednesday night. come on out to the Kia Forum. Tickets are available. Same thing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, man. I really appreciate your time, and hope you have a great rest of your time. And enjoy Bakersfield. Have you been able to actually check out the city at all? Or
I got in late last night.
Okay.
And then I actually have to go back home after this and then come back up. So.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of driving for you, brother.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate your time, and again, appreciate you doing this media run for us. It's been a great time.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. So one more time, just want to say thank you to AEW, All Elite Wrestling, their media team, and Anthony for his time. He gave us so much, and we appreciate every minute of it. We hope to speak to more. And if you guys want to hear more of these interviews and this kind of style of episode, let us know in the comments below, and let us know who you would like to see us talk to and reach out to. Anything is on the table, sports, pop culture, whatever you guys want to hear. We want to hear too. We want to shine a little bit of light into these guys' lives and their incredible work ethic. Go out, support AEW. Next PLE will be May 26th in Vegas, Double or Nothing. They'll be in LA next Wednesday for Dynamite, May 29th. Tickets are still available at allelitewrestling.com/AEW-events. Thank you so much for tuning into this interview. Again, guys, like and subscribe on all of our platforms, and listen to us live Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock on 12:30 a.m., 101.1 FM, ESPN Bakersfield, or check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. Episodes uploaded every Monday. So until next time, we're out, and we'll talk to you guys on Sunday.